Hello ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, my name is Dominic and I'd like to welcome you all to another episode of Spotlight Game of Thrones, the series in which we take a look at some of the characters who feature in the A Song of Ice and Fire novels but are yet to be seen on the hit HBO show. So, if you love Game of Thrones and want to know more about the world and its characters outside of the TV show, you've come to the right place. In today's episode we'll be continuing our look at the Targaryen Dynasty. Last time we examined King Daeron I Targaryen, who ruled for only 4 short years, in which he succeeded in conquering Dorne at the young age of 14, however went on to lose the Dornish after being unable to quell dissent from the smallfolk. After a childless death in 161 at the age of 18, the realm would pass to his younger brother, Baelor I Targaryen. Baelor, also known as Baelor the Blessed, would go on to be known as the Targaryen Dynasty's most pious king. His first act as sovereign was to grant a pardon to all of the Dornish nobles that had been held hostage by his brother King Daeron. Not only that, but he also publicly forgave his brother's killers and decided that not only would he return the hostages to Dorne, but that he would walk before them barefoot and in rags all the way, with neither sword nor army. And so he did. And eventually he came to the place where House Will held his cousin Prince Aemon the Dragon Knight, whom they had captured during the betrayal of King Daeron. King Baelor pleaded with Lord Will to release Aemon, who was held naked in a cage exposed to the Dornish sun, but the cruel lord refused, and so Baelor said a prayer for his cousin and swore that he would return and free him. King Baelor then crossed the Boneway, a treacherous pass that had proved to be the undoing of thousands, and he proceeded to cross the desert between the northern foothills and the Scourge, still barefoot and in rags. He survived the journey and eventually came to Dorne, where he met their prince. Many consider this to be the first miracle of Baelor the Blessed. The second is the fact that he was successful in actually agreeing peace terms with the Dornish and arranging a marriage pact between the Targaryens and the Martells. After staying a while in Sunspear, King Baelor rejected the offer of a ship to carry him home, insisting that the gods had commanded him to walk, and returned to where his cousin Prince Aemon was being held prisoner. House Will had now extended the Dragon Knight's cage above a pit of vipers, and Aemon begged the king to simply forget about him and leave, but King Baelor told Aemon that the gods would protect him and stepped into the pit. King Baelor was bitten half a dozen times while crossing to the cage, and although he opened it, he nearly collapsed before the Dragon Knight was able to thrust the door open and pull his cousin from the pit. Prince Aemon carried Baelor halfway down the Boneway before eventually securing clothing and a donkey and making for the watchtower of the Dondarrions. The king regained consciousness only on the road to Storm's End, where the two stayed for half a year and more before Baelor was fit to set out for King's Landing. The realm rejoiced at the return of their king, but Baelor's reign would prove to be hugely divisive from that point on, with many wondering whether the viper venom had affected his mental faculties. The king made sure that his marriage to his sister wife Daena Targaryen was rendered null and void, as he wished to avoid any temptations of the flesh. He then took this a step further and had his sisters imprisoned in what he called the Court of Beauty, that would come to be known as the Maiden Vault. This imprisonment was said to be in order to keep them pure and innocent, but it is suspected that it was to help prevent any temptation he may have been feeling. The eldest of his sisters, Daena, would escape numerous times, however, and even end up siring a child with the young Prince Aegon, a child that would go on to cause a whole bunch of trouble for the realm, but that is a story for another time. King Baelor the Blessed continued to implement several decisions that led to great upheaval. He replaced ravens with doves, which proved to be catastrophic when sending messages back and forth. He provided tax exemptions to those who forced their daughters to wear chastity belts. He banned prostitution in King's Landing, which caused a great deal of turmoil, which he just ignored, as he instead busied himself with building the Great Sept on Visenya's Hill. He even made a child the High Septon, convinced that the boy could talk to animals and perform miracles. When the king found out about the birth of Daemon Waters, the child of his sister Daena, he fasted for 40 days and 40 nights as penance, only taking on a little water and crumbs of bread. On the 41st day, King Baelor was found collapsed before the altar of the mother, and so he died in the year 171 AC, in the 10th year of his reign. There are some that say Viserys' hand of the king poisoned Baelor in order to prevent further turmoil in the realm, but this is only hearsay and kind of out of character. Nevertheless, as Baelor the Blessed died childless, it meant that the throne passed to Viserys Targaryen, brother of Aegon III, who had outlived Aegon and both of Aegon's sons. Thank you for watching this episode of Spotlight Game of Thrones. Remember, you can find previous episodes on the channel, as well as a playlist with all of Season 1's episodes included. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, as it really helps me out, and I'll see you all again soon.